Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're doing a book update or book updates. Let's say the first one, Learn Power BI. I'm going to do a separate video when that's closer to release. It's pretty close. I've gone through all of like the second drafts and all of that sort of stuff. I've also created some PowerPoint, a PowerPoint for every chapter for like people that want to use it in like a classroom kind of setting to teach people Power BI. And then I'm also gonna make some extra videos for that, but I'll do a bunch of stuff on Learn Power BI because it was kind of a neat, it's my first book with Pack, so I think there's a kind of a neat backstory behind it. So I'm gonna provide some kind of behind the scenes type stuff, but that's gonna be in a separate video. This video is really more about DAX for Humans, right? And it's been about a month and a half since I did an update on it on my Microsoft Hates Greg channel, so I figured I'd put one together. Now, if you've been following on my Patreon page, you would already know that I'm already all the way through the second drafts of all the chapters. And I've gotten feedback on those second drafts on all but I think like maybe three or four of the chapters. So we're moving right along here, people. This is getting close, right? And the cover art is done. I'm not going to reveal that today. There is so I've got the front and back matters pretty much handled. You're going to see. I mean, it's getting close. It's getting down to getting very close to getting this thing out the door. So what I'm working on now are the third and final drafts of the chapters, where a lot of it's formatting and handling a lot of little nits and things like that. But what you're seeing here is right now I'm working on chapter three, as I already have the final drafts for chapter one and chapter two done. And so if you notice, maybe it looks kind of weird. So I've got this set to a size of 7.5 inches by 9.25 inch. Okay, so it's 7.5 inches wide, 9.25 inches tall. And so why that format, right? Well, because it was a standard publishing format that was available on Amazon. I'll get to that in a second. But it's also the size of my packed books. And I like that kind of size form factor, really. Um, Nothing's more annoying than when you have like a whole line of packed books and they're all the same height. And then you got like one random book that's like 8.5, inches, and it throws, you can't set books on top of it, sideways. And anyway, it messes the whole thing up, right? So I decided I'd get as close to what my packed book sizes are. And so I'm sure they use millimeters, but whatever. 7.5 by 9.25, pretty close, if not the exact size. And then you got to set the margins, right? So you gotta mess around with the margins. So it's got, I've got like a half inch, a half inch, a half inch, and then you'll see there's more. This is like 1 and an eighth inch. And I got out my tape measure, right? I got out my tape measure and I started, measuring the books to see how much margin I needed, right? Because since this thing's going to be bound, right? You're flipping through it. You got to have more over here, otherwise things will get lost. All right, so there's all of that. Then there's also cleanup of the formatting. So make sure everything's kind of justified. Make sure all the images are correct and everything all have a figure reference. And it's a lot of nitpicky stuff, right? So just takes a while to get through. And then I have to go through, and what takes the most amount of time usually is I have to go through and I have to read what I've written, which is always kind of weird. But just to make sure, I try to make sure, like, well, it doesn't. I'm reading through it and it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, I better rephrase that a little bit and everything like that. So that's what I'm doing with the final, drafts of these chapters, right? And at the same time, drum roll, right? I'm actually also putting together the actual file itself that's going to be used as the what I'm going to upload to Amazon. So here you can see some of the front matters, that I have. Not everything's done yet, but the copyright. I haven't put the ISBN number in. About me, dedication. I got all my Patreons and stuff. That people for that, the patrons and that from Patreon are included in the credits and that sort of thing. Important links, and then here we go, table of contents, right? So I gotta, I'll eventually have to add in like chapter, one and that sort of thing into the table of contents, but I'll do that at the end. And Brian Julius was nice enough to write a forward for me, so it's an awesome forward. Really kind of sets the stage for why this thing, why no calculate exists and all of that. So yeah, so it's coming right along here, people. And I think it's going to be great. So now so I've started this. So as I get done with a chapter three draft, then I'll create a new section, right, at the end of this, right? So here's, chapter two, and I've got my headers, chapter two, the page number, and then alternates with the page number and then the name of the book. So it's kind of alternating even odd headers, and then the first right here doesn't have any header. So you got to work all those little details out and stuff like that. So I'll add another, once I get done with chapter 3, I'll add another section, like a next page, and then I'll copy and paste the stuff from chapter 3, the final version, into here, and make sure all the headers and everything are all correct, update the table of contents, right? Get through all of this. So when eventually I'll have all the chapters in here, and then once I'm done with that, then I need to go through the book and once again and try to pick out, well, what are the terms that I want to be included in the index. I might use AI for that purposes. I already used ChatGPT to generate a index file, using it. I just told it, put every DAX function in there. So anytime that a DAX function shows up, it'll be, poof, it'll show up here as far as, where it exists in the book. Yeah, so that'll be something I'll have to deal with when I get there, right? I just played around with it just briefly. All right, so again, another drum roll, right? I've actually started the process of getting this thing up on Amazon. So I think I'm doing it correctly. If I'm not, somebody please tell me. I'm using this Kindle Direct Publishing, and on here I can, English and title and subtitle, and it's not in a series, and it's the first edition, and this is who I am. Contributors, it only allows 9 contributors. I would love to put all my people that are on Patreon, paid members on Patreon, love to put them on here, but it doesn't. I can only put 9, and I've got way more than 9. So I'm going to give everybody credit in the dedication. Description of the book, I've got that in there. I own the copyright because I'm writing it. It's not sexually explicit, right? Amazon.com, US. I've got categories. I've got books, computers and technology, software, enterprise applications, business intelligence tools, computers and technology, software, presentation software, and then programming, Microsoft Programming in general. You get up to 3 categories. So, if anybody has a suggestion on a category on where they think this book should fall, let me know. Otherwise, we're probably going to go with these, because these are very similar to what my pack books are published under, right? And let's see. Then I got some keywords in here, and then publication. Now, right now, I set a publication for July 31st. Now, I fully expect to beat that date. Okay. In fact, I would like to have this out next month, right? June would be great to have this thing all buttoned up and released, right? So I filled all this out. Then I already saved this, so continue out saving. And then, okay, so now you get into stuff like, color, right? I'm going to go with premium color interiors because, well, there's a whole thing about that, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And maybe later videos, kind of got some surprises going on here. There's the trim size, right? The glossy, think paperback cover finish seems good. I'll have to assign my ISBN here in a little bit. Then, once I get done with the manuscript, then I'm going to PDF it and upload it, or I guess they accept DocX, so I just upload the DocX to it. I've got my cover art all done, so then I'll upload that, right? And so, nope, it's not AI content. Anyway, so things are coming together, people. It's not far off now. That DAX For Humans is going to be out there and available for people to buy. And obviously, all the Patreons, they're going to get an electronic copy of it. All the people on Patreon that are paid subscribers, that's the plan anyway. So yeah, super excited. I would love to get physical copies for everybody and sign them and ship them to everybody that's been on my Patreon, for X number of months, let's say, or something like that. But we'll have to see about that. That can get expensive trying to ship overseas. Man, my God, I think I shipped something to the UK one time, and it was like holy crap, it's like 150 or 200 bucks to ship this thing, to ship a book to the UK. You gotta be kidding me. And I just had no idea that it was that expensive. So yeah, that can get really pricey doing that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's where we are. I'm excited. It's all stuff's coming together, and I think it's gonna be really cool. So appreciate everybody's support, and let's get this thing over the finish line, guys. All right, that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.